Hey guys, it's me, your girl Rich Aunt. I'm doing a cheap art supply challenge today, and I have some dual tip markers here that I got for $5 at Five and Below. There are 20 of them. You got the fine point on one side, brush tip on the other, and my Artist Loft watercolor pan that is like $12, and it's really chalky, but actually it's not bad compared to my Winsor Newtons or my little teeny Winsor Newton that I created. So let's get into it. All right, let's see. Testing out some colors for the skin tone. They don't actually have any kind of neutral, natural looking colors, so I'm just going to go with what they have and make it work. Okay, so far out the gate, the con so far is they are not blendable, which I didn't expect for $5. But it is very streaky. I definitely would recommend, if you're going to use these on the face, to go back over it with some color pencil to kind of smooth out the skin tone. Also, they really are rough on traditional coloring book paper, which my book is made out of. Cardstock would be a lot better. And as you saw from me demonstrate just a second ago, that was a watercolor cardstock type paper. So if you're overlapping over and over again, what I find is it kind of rolls up it makes the paper roll up. So that could be a problem. But the colors I like. They don't bleed through so far. But I still, just as a caution, recommend you using some type of printer paper underneath your page that you're coloring. Here on the hair, I did something a little different than I did the face. I'm just going to take it like line by line so that my brush strokes don't overlap. And then just go back in and fill in the gaps where there's still some white of the page showing. That way it doesn't tear the page. Takes a little longer, but it's better than risking messing up your paper. Giving her a little lippy. I definitely like the brush tip though. It's really sharp, pointy, flexible. So it was fun doing the lashes with that. And I'm going to play around with some of the watercolors and see how brushing over that works. You can see where I've done that several times throughout the book. The watercolor itself stands up pretty good to the pages. Especially for it to not be a watercolor page book, which I would so love to create eventually. Now, this really pretty jade green is so pretty, but I find that when you're coloring spots that are kind of small and tight, you end up overlapping, so it really darkens it. So this color, to get a true color, is better if you do it on something larger as far as the surface. Unless you don't mind the dark color. Here I'm just kind of going in and adding some more detail, some more value. Creating some shading with the fine tip part of the brush. And then I'll go over here with the zebra print and go back in with the brush tip end of the brush and fill in those lines. And I really like I said, the performance as far as the brush goes, as far as the mechanics of it. It's just because I think it's a water base instead of an alcohol base. It does tend to, compromise the paper a little bit if you're not careful. And they don't, like I said before, blend very well. But let's see how it goes over top of the watercolors. Here on the earring, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's good or bad, but it's not bad. It's definitely okay. I like it. And then I'm just going over the face, adding some definition to her face, some highlight contour, if you will. Bringing out those cheekbones. I'm waiting for the watercolor to dry also because the paper is already sensitive to the brush tip. I wanted to make sure that it was dry so that it didn't compromise the paper. And you know what the funny thing is, as I'm going over it, what I'm realizing is the watercolor actually created some type of barrier. So I'm not getting any of these issues that I was having on her face or her hair at all. I like that. Turned out pretty good. Now I'm just going back in with some more watercolors. My voice is kind of hoarse today, guys. So sorry. These are the ones that I normally use, and they were about $30, and you get 100 markers. And I usually have some Faber-Castells and some Prismacolors as well. But just like with photography, you don't have to have the top of the line, expensive Gucci camera to make really great photography, to take great pictures. It's all about your skill level and your knowledge. I really think that because I practice and I draw all the time, I can kind of get away with using cheaper products, student grade products, or, products for a novice or whatever. But I do see where there is value in the more higher end expensive things. I just don't necessarily choose to invest my money in those areas because I'm technically not an illustrator, although I illustrated a coloring book. I'm not a person who creates cartoon characters and drawings based off of markers and pens. My main medium that I use is oil paints. So I invested good money in my oil paints. I didn't always. I had to build up a collection. And then I also got a really nice set of 20 paints by Gamblin. My son got me for Mother's Day. That was the best Mother's Day gift ever. So now I am really straight. I just buy other random colors here and there from Gamblin. But that is my favorite oil paint as of right now. Here I'm just going in with some more markers, going into the little details of the flowers and the leaves. Now, although I did illustrate this book myself, and I'm illustrating the next one that's coming out in September, I used a mixture of pens. I used some Microns, I used some Stettlers, I used Artist Loft, which is the Michaels brand. But probably if I were a person who full-time did nothing but illustrate and create characters and things of that nature, I would probably invest in some Copics or some Prismacolors. I've actually had a set of Prismacolors before, but I gave them to this really cool kid that I know that's in art school. Okay, so where I went over it with the yellow watercolor wash, I did not let it dry all the way because I'm at the end of the page, so I'm kind of done. And I could definitely tell it wasn't dry completely, so it did kind of do that whole thing where the paper was rolling a little bit. It definitely compromised the paper, going back over it with that type of marker and it not being fully dry. You can see I'm kind of wiping it off with my paper towel. Some of the paper that was getting on the marker. But this was so much fun, guys. Definitely go to therichant.com and check out the book. I think you'll love it. It's 25 beautifully illustrated pages. And also I have an Amazon link there. You can get all the supplies that I use on the coloring book. And check me out on Periscope. I am on there coloring live, teaching you all types of different tips and tricks for your book. So I would give these markers, though, 3 out of 5 stars.